Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to my students. So now we are going to tackle about electron configuration. So ma'am, what is electron configuration? Let's find out on the next slide. So electron configuration describes how electrons are arranged in atomic shells, subshells, and orbitals within an atom or molecules. So as what we can remember, we have the quantum mechanical theory by Schrodinger and Heisenberg. And for that one, it says that electrons settle in what we call electron cloud. And in that electron cloud, there is a specific designation wherein it is called the shells, the subshells, or the orbitals. So here, let's give a look. The letters K, L, M, and O is what we call the shells. They are the shells, K, L, M, and O. On the other hand, the orbitals is the represented by letter N. So in shell key, there is how many orbitals or orbital? There is only one orbital for shell key. For shell L, there is two orbitals. For shell M, there is three orbitals. And then for shell N, there is four orbitals, so on and so forth. And let's remember that in key shell, it can hold two electrons. How many? Two electrons. Only two electrons. And then for shell L, it can hold 8 electrons. For M shell, it can hold 18 electrons. And for N shell, it can hold 32, so on and so forth. So this is the electrons in the orbitals. As what we can see, the arrow moving or the circles, that is what we call the orbitals. As what you can observe here, based on the circle, they have different thickness of circles. The first circle for key orbital is a bit thin. And then shell L, or the circle for shell L for its orbital, is thicker than shell key. And then for the orbital of M shell, the circle or its circle is thicker than shell L. And then for N, it is also thicker than shell M. So in that case, why is that, mom? They have different thickness in their orbitals or the way the circles are written. It is because, as what I've mentioned earlier, for key shell, it only has one N or orbital. So that means it only has one line. If we try to maximize that small letter key shell, I mean that thin line key shell, it looks like this. It only has how many dots? Two. That represents the electrons. And for that one, key LMN is what we call the shell. And then inside that shell, we have what we call subshell. Okay? So for subshell, we have S, P, D, and F. Remember, subshell, S, P, D, and F. For shell, key LMN. So for key shell, it only has one subshell, which is S. Okay? S subshell carries how many electrons? Two electrons. So overall, key shell carries how many electrons? Two only. As well as S carries two electrons also. On the second orbital, if we maximize or magnify the L shell, it looks like this, the second demonstration. So n is equals to 2 because there are two orbitals. Okay? The orbitals are the circle, right? Or there are two subshell. Okay? So 1, 2. There are two arc or like lines or circle. So that means in L shell, it carries how many orbitals? Two orbitals or two subshells. So since it carries two subshells, it has the subshell S and it also has the subshell P. And always remember, subshell S always carries the maximum of two electrons. Always carries how many electrons? Two electrons. And then for subshell P, it only carries or maximum, it carries the maximum of six electrons. Now the question is, ma'am, how about S carrying only one electron? Is that okay? Is that qualified? Yes, as long as it only carries maximum of two electrons. How about P subshell, ma'am? It says it can carry maximum of six electrons. How about it will only carry one electron, ma'am? Is that possible? Is that qualified? Is that okay? Yes, as long as it will not carry seven electrons because maximum for P subshell is only six electrons. So here on L shell, a while ago I've said that L shell carries 8 electrons. Why is that? Because S carries 2 and then P carries 6. So 2 plus 6 is equals 8. So that is why in general, L shell carries 8 electrons. So with the other orbitals. So for M shell, it has how many orbitals? 3. And it also has how many subshells? 3. The S, P, and D. So S carries how many dots or electrons? 2. P carries how many dots or electrons? 6. And then now, ma'am, how many electrons does D subshell carries? It carries maximum of 10. So, S is equals to 2, P is equals to 6, D is equals to 10. Overall, it carries 18 electrons. And now, ma'am, let's proceed with N shell. So, N shell, as what we can see, has N equals 4. So, there are 4 orbitals, the S, the P, the D, and the F. So S again carries 2, P carries 6 electrons, D carries 10 electrons, and F carries 14 electrons. So 2 plus 6 plus 10 plus 14, overall N shell carries 32 electrons. So how we will write the electron configuration, ma'am? That's very easy. But first, we have to create this one. We have to create lines and fill in this one later. How many lines? Column or in vertical form, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then in the next column you will just write one six lines, and then 5 lines, and then 4 lines, and then on the next slide we will try to fill in these lines or these horizontal lines. So now the horizontal lines that we've created is now filled with its number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the first column, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the second column, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for third, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the last column. So that's how we fill in these lines. Okay, always remember that these columns represents the subshell, which are the S, the P, the D, and the F. So for the first column, it should have or it is under the subshell S. For the second column, it is under the subshell P. For the third column, it is under the subshell D. And for the last column, it is under the subshell F. Don't worry, I will have the illustration so that you will understand it further on the next slide. So for the second column, it is under the P subshell. So you should put beside the number the P letter. So with the third column and the fourth column. So we already tackled about this one a while ago that for S subshell, it can only carries 2 electrons. For P subshell, it carries 6 electrons. For D subshell, it carries 10 electrons. And for F subshell, it carries 14 electrons. Always remember that one.